Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns, my least favourite team in this division. Adam, a team that, I mean, they did that trade for Deshaun Watson a few years ago. You know, he didn't play for a bit and was suspended. Every year, it's like, you know, you look at this team, JOK have just re-signed, Myles Garrett, Deshaun Watson, they brought in Jerry Jeudy, they got Mari Cooper. Like, this team has got stars on it, and yet it just doesn't ever feel like it's fully clicking all the way to go on a real deep playoff run year on year. Do you think this may be their year this year?
I mean, a lot of this is going to depend on Watson, isn't it? I mean, that is what it is. The issue with him is that it just felt like he didn't really come back to the Deshaun Watson that we all remember at the Texans. And if he can get back to that, then yeah, I mean, he will be that guy. But you do just sort of think the amount of time that he's missed, the sort of almost like the pressure that really he's put on himself of the, the actions that he's done over the years is probably not helping the situation. They did go 4-1 in the last 5 games last year, and normally when that happens, it's a good sign. It sort of shows that they've done something, but that was with Joe Flacco, and that's where it kind of feels a little bit like this is what the problem is. It all boils down to what kind of Deshaun Watson are we getting. The team in general, I think they didn't really do that much. I kind of felt like they lost a few players, but none of them I would come out and say were massive for them. They re-signed a few, again, not really. I mean, Zadarius Smith was kind of their big money, re-sign. As you said, Jerry Jeudy coming in was kind of the big sort of like guy coming in from another team. And even in the draft, they didn't have many picks, so they didn't really do a great deal in that either. I think Michael Hall looks useful, although I think he's got some problems at the moment, hasn't he? He's had a few issues. So yeah, I mean, I think they're a competitor. I think they could win the division. They have the potential. If you get that sort of Deshaun Watson from a few years ago, then they could win this division. I don't know. It's difficult. I personally, I don't see it because I just don't see why he's suddenly going to become an amazing player now.
Yeah. Do you think, Sky, if they do have a poor season after this season, that it may be time to press the reset button, even though they spent so many draft picks on getting Deshaun Watson there, all the money and everything like that? Do you think it might be time to shake some trees?
Yeah, you need to just cut your losses, because when you've got Zadarius Smith being signed, Myles Garrett, Jordan Hicks, they're one of the best defensive units in the NFL. So I think if the offense doesn't pull its weight this season, you just have to sort of pull the carpet out and say he's gone. Not out inside. Well, maybe just go sign someone else. I used to love Deshaun Watson as well. I feel like we've spoken about this before, Fred. He used to be so good. Like, you could have even argued top 5 at one point, top 10 when he was. I
agree.
So it's such a shame. And I think, look, again, I'm a massive Nick Chubb fan, but he's coming off of a second serious knee injury. And I mean, if anyone's going to come back and defy the odds, it could be him. But I don't think even that's going to be enough for them to, win this division. And I think the main thing that I had to look at was the schedule. From week 6, they've got the Eagles, Bengals, Ravens, and Chargers. Then they've got a bye in week 10, and to finish the season, they got the Chiefs, Bengals, Dolphins, and Ravens. So it's kind of like I see stretches there where I'm looking at them and going, they could probably be 1-3 in both of those stretches. I don't see it in a way where I'm looking at 3-1s.
Just quickly under the Deshaun Watson thing, I just had a quick look. I mean, there is no out in this contract. Oh, really? Not really. I mean, it's horrific to be brutally honest. The cap hit, obviously you can restructure stuff and change things around, but the cap hit, if you want to escape from this contract, you're looking at 63 million for this year, next year, in 2026, and 2027 is 8.9. So it's like there isn't a lot of wiggle room here. It's like you can't. I mean, obviously the hope is that the cap goes up and everyone has more money to spend, but even still, it's like I don't think him, being able to reset and get rid of him is really a thing they can do, because obviously it was all guaranteed money, wasn't it? So that's the problem.
I think you just have to. I know it's not like sometimes you've got to be a trendsetter or do something different. I remember last year there were talks already in November. How can they get out of it? And I think they were saying that if they cut him this off season, it would have been like 130 mil loss or something. But obviously, it will go down, or even a reset in a way where you do a tactical thing where you draft a quarterback, as a project. You've still got Watson there, whereas, like you said, Adam, they were relying on Joe Flacco to somehow, I don't know what voodoo he's got, but he always pulls some magic out, and they can't just be relying on a random vet to carry them each year. So,
and also they don't have him, do they? He's not there now. They got Jameis Winston instead, and it's like,
and I like Jameis Winston, and I mean that and I don't just mean as I'm not saying like viable starter, but he put up numbers on the Bucks. He was decent at the Saints. You do look at someone like that and go, if Watson went down this season, at least he's got a point to prove in terms of he wants to potentially still be a starter for a number of years to come. It's not a Flacco where he's knocking on retirement's door. So whilst we don't wish injuries on anyone, maybe that could be a blessing in disguise for the Browns scenario-wise.
Well, there needs some blessings in disguise in my point of view as a Steelers fan.